For today's fall-themed video, I'm going to be making some homemade recipes, starting with some homemade chai tea. We have some pumpkin cinnamon butter, which was super yummy, vegan pumpkin waffles, which turned out really delicious and great, and also some vegan butternut squash soup. So I'm excited to share these recipes with you, and let's just jump right in. So let's start with the homemade chai latte. First, you're going to want to start with 2 cups of water, a half of a cup of almond milk. So you want to go ahead and mix those 2 together, and then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then you're going to want to start adding your spices. This is what really gives it that chai tea, that natural chai tea flavor. So I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon or just a dash of ground cloves, ground cardamom, nutmeg, ground ginger, and cinnamon. So go ahead and give that a good whisk. You want to make sure all your spices are whisked and incorporated with the almond milk and water. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Whisk the brown sugar until it is completely dissolved, and then pour this mixture into a medium-sized saucepan and bring it to a boil. I like to continue to whisk as it's heating up just to make sure everything is incorporated. And then once it is brought to a boil, you're going to pull it off the stove, and then you're going to add 3 or 4 black tea bags, depending on how strong you like your chai tea. So I used 3, and I'm going to let that steep for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then you have some wonderful homemade chai tea that's not too sweet, not artificial tasting, but a really great fall treat. So next we're moving into the whipped cinnamon pumpkin butter, which is absolutely delicious. So I'm starting with 2 sticks of unsalted butter. I'm adding that to my KitchenAid mixer. If you don't have a KitchenAid mixer, you can certainly use a hand mixer. I've always wanted one of these my whole life, and I never got one until I married a chef. But yeah, I'm putting my attachments in, which I finally learned to use the right way the last few years, and I absolutely love this. So this is a great investment for sure. I'm whipping up that butter. So it'll take about a minute and it'll be pretty whipped, and then I'm going to pull that down, take my spatula, and scrape down the edges, and I'm going to add a few ingredients, starting with pumpkin puree. I have a total of 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree, but I'm adding 2 tablespoons at first, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon ground nutmeg, and then I'm going to go ahead and whip that together until it is fully incorporated. And then once that's whipped, I can add the rest of the pumpkin puree, and then the other ingredients that I will be adding are a 1/4 cup of honey, which you can omit and use agave if you prefer agave over honey. And then I'm going to use 1 teaspoon vanilla extract and then a pinch of salt. And then I'm going to go ahead and whip that until that's fully incorporated and you have your cinnamon pumpkin butter. This tastes really great over the pumpkin waffles that we're going to be making, but it also tastes great with just some toast. It's a really nice kind of addition to have at maybe like a fall get-together, but it's so good, and it lasts in the refrigerator for a few days, I would say up to a week probably. Oliver said it looked like ice cream when I scooped it out, and it's really the best when it's first fresh and whipped, because once you put it in the refrigerator it hardens a little bit, so you can keep it out, and it's a wonderful whipped butter for a special fall event, and it tastes just so heavenly, so I would definitely try this recipe. So next we have the vegan pumpkin waffle recipe. So I am starting with 1/4 cup pumpkin puree. Then I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. You want to make sure it's in its liquid state. You can also use vegetable oil or grapeseed oil, but I prefer coconut. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons sugar, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt, and 1 teaspoon pumpkin spice. I will put the ingredients in the description. Basically, I'm going to sift the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Then finally, I'm going to add some almond milk, or you can use soy milk. I have 1 cup of almond milk, and then I'm going to go ahead and just whisk this all together. And this is our batter, and I have a waffle maker. This is a waffle recipe, so it doesn't work as pancakes. But there are different variations you can do of this recipe. But yeah, I have this waffle maker that I'm going to make my waffles in. I'm going to make sure to just add a little bit of coconut oil so that the waffle mix does not stick. And then I'm going to go ahead and just start ladling a little bit of the mix. And I'm going to make kind of smaller, not so perfect looking waffles. I guess more, waffles with more character. So I'm adding a little bit of my waffle mix, and then I'm going to go ahead and close the waffle maker and let it cook. For this particular recipe, you're going to want to make sure your waffle maker is on medium to hot. As you can see, the temperature is turned up pretty high, and this is a very thick batter, so you're going to want to make sure that it is turned on pretty high. So once you've made the amount of waffles that you want, go ahead and stack them up nicely. And if you want, you can add maple syrup. And if you want, you can also add the pumpkin cinnamon butter. Now, if you want to keep these purely vegan, obviously don't add the butter, maybe just the maple syrup by itself. But these were super yummy and very, very flavorful. Definitely a little thicker and not as fluffy as maybe a traditional recipe, but very, very good. So next we're going to move into the butternut squash soup. This is also a vegan recipe. So I'm going to start by dicing up some vegetables for this soup. I have one medium uncooked butternut squash, which I'm going to dice up. Just make sure that you obviously don't include the seeds. I also have 2 carrots that I'm going to peel and dice up. Then I have 1 Granny Smith apple, and I'm going to cut that, also omitting the seeds and the core. This adds a really, really nice flavor to the soup, so I definitely recommend adding the Granny Smith apple. There's just a slight difference that it makes when you add the apple. And then I'm going to cut up 1 onion. I'm going to dice that up. And then I'm also going to add some garlic. I tend to go light on garlic, so I'm just using 2 small garlic cloves and just chopping those up and adding that to the mix. Now this is going to be a slow cooker recipe. I'm going to do more slow cooker recipes soon, but I love my crock pot. So I'm just going to throw everything into the crock pot, and then I'm going to add vegetable stock, 2 cups of vegetable stock. Then I'm going to add some pepper and some salt to taste. This is totally up to you how much you want to add. I always say, go a little light on the salt and pepper. You can always add more later. And then a pinch of ground cinnamon and nutmeg and a little bit of cayenne pepper. I'd say about 1/8 of a teaspoon or a little bit more if you like it spicy. And then some sage. I'm also going to add 1/2 cup of canned coconut milk, and that's really what's going to give it its creaminess. Super, super delicious. I'm going to let this cook for about 5 to 6 hours on high. Well, actually medium. I would say if it's 6 hours, it would be medium, 4 hours on high. And so I'm going to go ahead and put on my top, and you can just let this sit. Then once it's had a chance to cook over 4 or 6 hours, depending on if you use high or medium heat, you're just going to take it and ladle it into a blender. I have the Vitamix here. We got this as a wedding gift and we've had it ever since. This is another really great kitchen investment, the Vitamix, because you can do so many different things with it. So I'm just ladling the soup into there, and I'm going to go ahead and blend it on high until it is a creamy soup. So when you're done blending, you can ladle it out into a bowl. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil on top with some salt and pepper, and I'm going to garnish it with a little bit of the sage. And this was a really, really great recipe. It turned out super delicious. Everybody in my family really liked it, so it's definitely a winner and a great recipe for fall. So hopefully you guys enjoyed these recipes and you make them for your family and they enjoy them too. Thanks so much for watching my videos. If you like my videos, be sure to watch my last 2 videos and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.